Hello there, duelists. I've been feeling on the larger side due to lockdown, so maybe my spirit archetype is that which we have on the playmat today, Superheavy Samurai. Debuting in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, these chubby samurai have had a few pieces of support locked away behind the OCG wall. Maybe for that fear of the tier 0 ability to attack in defense mode, but no longer. So let's get this deck back on its feet, despite how heavy they may be. So my usual breakdown is monsters, spells and traps, depending on how many of each stuff there are, but Super Heavies rely on having no spells in the graveyard for a lot of their effects, which I'm going to kind of gloss over, so if I miss it, it's because you don't have any spells or traps in the graveyard ever, really, unless your opponent somehow manages to put a spell card in there, which I'm not really sure how they do. But basically what that means is I'm just doing the main deck and then the extra deck as a transition. So we'll start off with 3 Wagons. So this is one of the ones that was kind of locked behind, kind of that OCG wall for a while. It came out in Ecto, so it's reasonably new. Basically, it can attack in defense position, which is a few of the Super Heavy Samurai monsters can do, and it uses its defense position. Use defense stat as its attack stat when attacking that way. When it's summoned, you can change its position, and then if it's in defense position, you can change to attack position to search a Super Heavy Samurai Soul card. So they've kind of got like the main Super Heavy monsters, and then the Super Heavy Samurai Soul cards are kind of like equip or / union monsters that can equip themselves from the hand or from the field to a Super Heavy Samurai monster. So he's really good because he adds an extra search layer. He's just generally, he's a solid card. We really should have had him a while ago. And then 3 Soulpiercer, so this is kind of our original kind of searcher for the deck. So Soulpiercer can equip to, a Super Heavy Samurai monster, and when it does its namesake and inflicts, and the monster that's equipped with it will do piercing damage when it attacks. However, the important part is that Soulpiercer, when it's sent to the graveyard, can add a Super Heavy Samurai card from your deck to your hand, and that is not once per turn, which makes it really good. From there, we're running 3 of another older Super Heavy Samurai card. In fact, quite a few of them that are older, really. I probably should cut that out. But Scales, what it can do is it can special summon itself if your opponent controls 2 or more monsters and you don't control any. And then when it's summoned, you can special summon a Super Heavy Samurai monster from your graveyard, except another Scales. So again, he's just really good at kind of putting bodies on board. And then we've got 3 Peacemaker. Soulpeacemaker, should I say? So this is searchable via Wagon or via the Piercer. So this can also equip itself to a monster, and that equipped monster must be attacked by your opponent's monster. So it's a bit of a lackluster equipping effect, a bit like Piercer really, but it makes up for it in its secondary effect. So basically what you can do is you can tribute the equipped monster to special summon a Super Heavy Samurai monster from deck, which is obviously really solid. And a good way of getting our new Link monster off field, because that can't be linked away. From there I've got a few other Super Heavy Samurai monsters, and you can choose to cut these at your leisure. So I've got 2 Super Heavy Samurai Trumpeter and 1 Super Heavy Samurai Battleball as my level 2 tuners. So basically, Super Heavy Samurai Trumpeter, when you've got no spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you can special summon it. It's also got a tribute effect, but it just doesn't come up in this deck. So you can check that out if you want to, but again, it's not super relevant. Oh, look at that sun, crazy. Anyway, so the Battleball, what that can do is you can target one of your opponent's monsters and send it and then the opponent's monster to the graveyard to special summon a Super Heavy Samurai Synchro monster with the levels of those monsters in the graveyard. So, if your opponent's got a level 4, you send Battleball and the level 4 to the graveyard, and you get to summon a level 6 Synchro monster. From there, there's a few one-offs. So I've got 1 Super Heavy Samurai Drum. So this is if it's destroyed, then you can special summon a Super Heavy Samurai monster in your graveyard, from your graveyard, should I say. And the main reason we're running it is because it's level 1 Earth Tuner. And then we're running one Super Heavy Samurai Transporter, one Super Heavy Samurai Soulclaw, and one Soulhorns. So Transporter's a really weird one, and kind of use him as kind of almost like an engine requirement, but he's not too bad on it himself. You can special summon him if you don't control any spell or trap cards in your graveyard. You can only special summon Super Heavy Samurai monsters for the rest of the turn if you use that effect, and that's something that a few of them, you know, a few cards, you know, kind of lock you into that. So, you know, the Trumpeter does as well. So basically, you can tribute him and then special summon 2 of your monsters to your opponent's side of the field and draw that many cards. So you can summon 1 or 2 cards to your opponent's side of the field, but I think that so rarely comes up because you don't want to give 2 cards to your opponent. That's just mental. And then from there, that's kind of like the Soulclaw. That's both of these two kind of have like the same equip effect as the other Samurai Soul stuff. So Soulclaw will give you a monster 500 attack and defense, and it can't be destroyed by battle, and then it can special summon itself when it's equipped, which is good because it's a little extender. And Soulhorns, if the equipped monster can attack twice during the battle phase, which is actually pretty solid, and then it can also special summon itself a bit like Soulclaw. From there, we're running a reasonably large Infinitrack engine, so I'm running 3 Anchor Drill, so if this is normal or special summon, you can special summon an Earth Machine type monster from your hand in defense position, and then you can combine levels. So if this is on the field and Transporter is on the field, you can add 4 plus 5. What do you get? Maths, 9. So, you know, you can go into your link 9s or other links depending on what other stuff you've got on board. From there, I'm running 3 Infinitrack Brutal Dozer. So Dozer's an interesting one. I have toyed around with like the ratios for this, but I think I'm ended up sticking on 3. So basically, you can tribute an Earth Machine type monster, special summon it from your hand, and when it's special summon from the hand, you can special summon another Infinitrack monster from your deck in defense position, but its effects are negated. Brutal Dozer, when he uses that special summon from deck effect, locks you into machine type monsters, which can be a little awkward, but he's still really good and allows you to kind of make plays beyond, you know, a few interruptions. So he's not bad at all. And then we're in a couple of 1-offs for the Infinitracks, and running 1 Trencher and 1 Tunneller, and they've got the same special summon effect as Brutal Dozer in terms of you can tribute a Earth Machine type monster to special summon from the hand in defense position, and then they've each got a banish effect. So Trencher, you can banish it to special summon a level 5 or lower Infinitrack monster from your graveyard, and then Tunneller, you can shuffle 5 machines, Earth Machines should I say, back from your graveyard into your deck and draw 2 cards. So it's really good at kind of keeping the ball rolling. From there, we're running another engine, which is 3 Symphonic Warrior Guitaar, and then the 1 Symphonic Warrior Mics. So Guitaar, basically when it's in the pendulum zone, so you'll never really normal summon it, you can discard a card to special summon a Symphonic Warrior from your deck. And then Symphonic Warrior Mics is obviously your target for that. So then you can, when Mics is summoned, you gain an additional normal summon, which is really good for kind of, again, pushing past that kind of disruption. And from there, I'm running 2 Machina Fortress. So I was running this at 3, but if you have 2 in hand, it can be really, really cloggy. But basically, you discard 8 levels of machine to special summon it from either the hand or graveyard, so he can count himself when he's in the hand. So you discard himself and another monster to summon him. So he's not bad. When he's targeted, you can rip a card from your opponent's hand, and you can look at your opponent's hand to do that, which is really solid. And then if he's destroyed by battle, which is a little bit old school now, you can pop a card on the field. And from there, I'm running 6 hand traps. I'm running 3 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. So obviously, when a monster on the field or a face-up spell and trap card activates effect, you can just discard this to pop it, which is reasonable. And then 3 Effect Veilers, for the kind of monster effect negation. And again, I've kind of kept the hand traps reasonably budget just because this deck is actually, quite budget, but you can obviously bump or switch around the hand traps as you wish. And then finally, the 1 spell card that we run in the deck is Sekka's Light. So if you have no spell trap cards in your graveyard, you can draw 2 cards, and for the rest of the turn, you can activate spell trap cards, but obviously this is our only 1. And then you can banish it to reveal a monster, to shuffle that back into the deck, and then draw a card. So it's just as a one-off, it's not too bad. You obviously don't see it nearly as much. I don't think this card needs to be banned or limited at all, but whatever. We'll roll with it, and when we see it, we see it. Alright, and on to the extra. So we're running one Super Heavy Samurai Swordmaster, and I'm not going to say the names at the end because I'm just going to make myself look stupid. But basically when it's a synchronous summon, you can add a machine monster back from your graveyard. If you have spells and trap cards in your graveyard when you activate this effect, then you can't use that monster for the rest of the turn, but obviously that's not that relevant. He doesn't come up that often. I kind of thought he was going to come up more, but yeah, he's actually not that easy to get to, and his effect is, you know, kind of average. He also can attack in defense position. We're running one Naturia Beast, so obviously, you know, your classic mill 2 to negate your opponent's spell and trap cards and not once per turn. And again, we've kind of got a one card combo to get into Naturia Beast. So again, he's super solid depending on the matchup. And then we're running one Super Heavy Samurai Ogre and one Super Heavy Samurai Warlord. So Ogre, when it's synchro summoned, you can destroy all your opponent's spell and trap cards as long as you don't have any in your graveyard, which, you know, again, great. And then Warlord, he's a really interesting one. So they both can attack while in defense position, just so you're aware. All of the kind of extra deck Super Heavy Samurai monsters can do that. But Warlord's Susanowo can also target spell or trap cards in your opponent's side of the field and then set them to your side of the field, and then they're banished when you use them. So that's a good way of kind of getting, you know, resource and stuff like that, and that's also quick, so you can kind of use it, you know, to really kind of crank up the resource if you can manage it. He's also a really beefy boy at 3/8, so you know he's a good way of getting, you know, rolling over bigger monsters. From there into the XYZs, we're running two Gear Gigant X, so you know you detach one, add a level 4 or lower machine type monster. I was running just the one, but I actually figured, you know, I actually tend to use it more often than not, so he's a real good way of just getting the parts you need, and he's also actually only a soft once per turn, so that's quite useful. And then we're running a couple of Infinitrack XYZs, so we're running the one River Stormer and one Earth Slicer. So they've both got this kind of similar effect where you contribute a machine link monster to special summon themselves from the graveyard in defense position, and then also if they destroy a monster or a battle, you can attach that monster as an XYZ material. And then they've each got their detach effects. So detach one from River Stormer to just search an Earth machine type monster, which is obviously really good. Again, it's very similar to Gigant X, that you just add the parts that you need. And then Earth Slicer can detach, you know, multiple materials and then pop that many cards on the field. So he's really good going, you know, kind of going second and you know, clearing out your opponent's board. I've seen quite a few, this is Super Heavy Samurai, people running the Super Heavy Samurai train, but it's so hard to get to, and it basically just does what Earth Slicer does, so I've chosen to cut it. But again, all power to you if you fancy running the train. And then finally, we're running the one True King of all Calamities for kind of our going first board. And again, I think these guys will suffer immensely when this guy eventually, hopefully, gets banned. But we've got a one card way of getting into True King of all Calamities. And then finally, on to the Link monsters. So we're running 3 Link 1, so we're running 2 Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow and then a 1 Infinitrack Goliath. So Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow first. So if you've got no spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you don't take any battle damage, which is great because this guy has got 0 attack. He also can't be used as link material, which is why we need the Soulpiercer to kind of get him off board. And then you can discard one monster and then target a Super Heavy Samurai monster and special summon it to a zone that this guy points to in defense position. So he's a really good way of kind of getting multiple resources on board and getting rid of, you know, kind of like your Wagon or your Piercer, you know, to kind of get extra advantage. And then the Goliath, he's kind of like a stepping stone really, but if he's sent to the graveyard, you can attach him to an XYZ material and then that XYZ monster can't be destroyed by card effects. Then a couple of Link 2, so we're running Platinum Gadget and Cliffort Genius. So Cliffort Genius, target one card on each side of the field and negate those effects. I'm kind of running him because sometimes you are locked into kind of like that Earth machine, and this guy's a way of kind of clearing out some of the useless rubbish. And then Platinum Gadget is you can special. It can't be used as link material the turn that's link summoned, but it can afterwards. Unlike the Scarecrow, which is a little bit sad. And then you can special summon a machine to a zone that it points to from your hand. It's got a level 4 lower machine. And then finally we've got the one Appaloosa, you know, just when we've got enough resources to put like a load of monsters on board, you know, get you kind of 3/2 attacks. So you gain 800 for each material that you use for it, and then once per chain you can negate a monster effect by reducing the attack by 800. Alright, so we're in zoomed out mode for a combo. So basically what we need is Super Heavy Samurai, Soulpiercer. So I'm going to try and motor through this reasonably quickly. So we're going to normal summon the Soulpiercer. We're then going to link it off to go into the Scarecrow. The Soulpiercer then activates and we get to add the Wagon. So then we can activate the Scarecrow, discard the Wagon to special summon it in defense mode. We can then activate the Wagon's effect to switch it to attack position to add ourselves a Soulpeacemaker. Soulpeacemaker can equip it to the Scarecrow. We can then tribute off the Scarecrow using the Soulpeacemaker's effect to go to Super Heavy Samurai Scales. Scales effect will allow us to special summon back the Soulpiercer. We can then use the Wagon and the Scales to overlay into Gear Gigant X. Gear Gigant X is going to allow us to detach. It doesn't really matter what we detach because Gear Gigant X is going to disappear very shortly. To search a anchor drill, and then we can link these two away to go for the Platinum Gadget, and then Super Heavy Samurai Soulpiercer is going to add us our Transporter. So then we can activate Platinum Gadget, special summon the anchor drill, which allows us to special summon the Transporter. We can then use the anchor drill to make these both level 9, and then there's your true king of all calamities, which is not bad for a single card. And if you reverse gear just a little bit, so you get the anchor drill with the Gigant, you, instead of going to Transporter, with the Soulpiercer you can go to the drum. So then you can special summon the anchor drill, special summon the drum, and you've got Earth and an Earth tuner, so then you can synchro those away for Naturia Beast depending on what the matchup kind of is. So we've taken these fat swordsmen for some exercise. So what are the results? Let's get into the weigh-in and find out. Well, undisrupted, they can definitely build and break boards, although they are quite reliant on that normal summon and have very easily identifiable choke points. So as much as it pains me, Super Heavy Samurai are not tier 1 and I'm giving them a 2 for relevance. For fun, I'd say the lines are pretty complicated and it's really, great to piece together, the puzzle of how to get to that end board and, the varying ways that you can get around your opponent's disruption or how you're going to break your opponent's board, and you do have a lot of different ways to do that. So it's going to be a 3 for fun. These guys, however, are absolutely amazing for the budget player. So at £90, they may not be breaking the scale, but at least they're not breaking the bank. Super Heavy Samurai should really have had all their support years ago, but it's nice to have a combo deck that is so cheap. So I'm throwing the whole algorithm to the wind and putting out a Super Heavy Samurai deck profile. What do you guys think? Do you think Super Heavy Samurai are ever going to be relevant? My guess is no, but thanks for watching and check out the channel for other videos.